This is what we needed, folks. No more trailers, but instead a deeper dive into what to expect. Some feedback from the people involved and a little more insight into the story we will soon embark on. Now let's jump right in. A lot of what we're seeing here is recycled footage by now, and that's fine. We don't want the show to dilute itself by revealing too much of its plot. It begins with this mysterious and possibly nefarious individual named Morrow, whom I still can't figure out if he's human or not. If he isn't artificial, then as a Wayland employee I wonder if he has been bought by the company for a high price to perform one of their notorious crew expendable orders upon their return to Earth from a voyage that has potentially seen the Maginot having explored the galaxy for decades. His last message to someone stating that the crew is all dead could be part of a larger plan, one that will make him responsible for the release of a facehugger, culminating in the Xenomorph wreaking havoc on board. It's also interesting that there appears to be some form of panic room within the mother chamber, almost a secure closet of some kind. We know he survives the crash, and clearly the Xeno is unable to cause him harm as well. If only Ripley had known of this safety feature when she engaged in her uncomfortable discussion with Ash, things might have been different. We actually get another look at this stationary vessel, but this time with an inside view as well. It doesn't look military, nor is it a pleasure yacht. It seems very utilitarian. If not Gateway Station or some other craft, I'm toying with the idea, after some feedback from you guys, that it might be a Conestoga class light assault starship, which was the very same model as the Sulaco in Aliens. It features the downward spike under the ship seen in the trailers, and many other aspects appear similar, including the ship's length. This shot might be of significance, if only because it seems to indicate that we will get to see where the ship has been, and it would be exciting to see new worlds. We don't have any planets in our system that are this close together, unless we are witnessing the moons of Jupiter perhaps. But it would be nice if the show once in a while placed some focus away from Earth, in true Alien fashion. It's been confirmed online that the show has been incredibly expensive to produce, which speaks volumes about the faith the studio has placed in Hawley, and fingers crossed we will get to see a bug hunt. Something tells me that the CEO of Prodigy, named Boy Cavalier, will be the Joffrey of the series. I think he's really going to get under our skin immensely, and the show needs human villains within this corporate war between Wayland and Prodigy to keep us enthralled. The very fact that he has his bare feet on the desk during a meeting is already starting to annoy the hell out of me. Also notice the creepy use of cartoons being played on the ceiling display, to help soothe the children whose minds are about to be transferred into androids. Granted, the children have a death sentence if they are all terminally ill, and ultimately the company has given them another chance, but I don't believe there is anything altruistic about this technological pursuit. They will be used and thrown into horrific situations that anyone else would call child abuse. Whether it's episode 1 or 2 that we get to experience this exploration of the crashed ship and its contents by the squad of synthetics with the minds of children, I have no idea, but I'm really looking forward to the unknown aspects of it all and the sheer suspense of what they might find. I'm reminded of when the Colonial Marines, accompanied by Burke and Ripley, investigated the lab on LV-426. What happens here, along with the suspense it provided, is burned into our memories, of course, but I remember the excitement I once felt seeing it for the first time, as they tried to analyse the chaos and figure out what went down here. We have our first victim here with some kind of growth on his chest. I was unsure whether it's a life form currently feeding on this dead soldier, or some other result of the man coming into contact with one of the many deadly organisms, but we do get another clue further on. What surprises me is that they have been restrained by their arms to the central pole. If I were to hazard a guess, I'd say whoever they are, it's possible somebody wants these two to become hosts for some of these life forms. It's hard to determine what could have happened in most of these shots, for the simple reason that it must have been pure chaos when a multitude of different species with their unique attack and defense mechanisms tried to escape, and I for one cannot wait to see it. Here we go, the Xenomorph, or Xenomorph as some pronounce it. Now, I've read many comments from you guys asking me to share my thoughts on Hawley's new design for a creature that most of us would agree should never be changed too much, if at all. Some of you have said it looks plastic, and others have expressed some annoyance over the lack of saliva and slime. I can't argue with that, it is different. There must, however, be multiple Xenos in the show, as the brownish coloured alien we see in the wilds looks quite impressive to me, and is more insect-like. Sure, this guy doesn't look as wet and fleshy as it should, and the side of its head does appear like it was made from a perfect mould. The other thing is, I for the most part hate these slow close-up shots that always feel like they're purely done for a marketing effect, and don't represent the tension that should be present in the scene. However, it's out of context, we don't know what surrounds this shot, and although I try to be as authentic in my thoughts as possible, there's nothing about seeing this that gives me any real concern. I quite like it. It's detailed enough, it is salivating a little bit, and the teeth look so damn frightening. It just has more of a glossy dome, like it's gone for a wax and a polish, you know? I do prefer the more glistening and viscous look of the original Xenos, sure, and the way they were slathered and dripping with secretion was a major factor in both their appeal and disgust. But hey, let's move on because it's just a glimpse and the poor guy might just be dehydrated. It's interesting that some of these corpses look morbidly drained of life, like all the blood and moisture has been sucked from them. It hints at some kind of organism with leech-like or vampiric feeding tendencies. Now, we all knew Teocellus was going to be fully animated, but with every new reveal, this creature continues to become more the fuel of nightmares. It reveals a protractile organ or some form of harpoon-like proboscis that can attach to its prey at great distances, making the specimen even more formidable. I also wonder if a human would have trouble grappling with it, as we see a synthetic struggling. Much like the Facehugger will always overcome a single target. You would assume, given the creature's fleshy vulnerabilities, that the android would just crush it, but maybe there's more to this story than meets the eye. This one is brand new, very insect-like in appearance, and its rear end almost resembles the underside of a tongue. However, we'll delve into what this veiny sac contains in a bit, as another shot will reveal an important clue. We learn a little more about Wendy's detachment from her past life and family due to Prodigy's relentless interest in consciousness and cybernetics, all of which is conducted under the secretive nature of the company, and with a false promise and false sense of security. It sounds like she and the others have been tricked into a service or contract that will require them to perform very dangerous tasks. I understand the reason for using a child's mind for the transfer, as it can adapt and handle the merge. However, it seems cruel, as surely they will remain children forever. Part of a brain's development into adulthood involves biological processes and changes within the body, correct? Remember what happened to Claudia in Interview of the Vampire. So she seeks to find and rescue her brother, especially now that she has the strength to do so. But from what they say, it sounds like she's going to be a major thorn in Prodigy's side. These are all wonderful clues that suggest to me that there will be enough human drama to carry this show forward in a grounded sense, which will help elevate the horror elements when they occur into something quite believable and frightening. Without the human aspect, there is no emotional payoff when the monsters attack, wouldn't you agree? I really appreciate how creative they've been in illustrating a multitude of ways to die, and without knowing what killed them and how, it's an effective promotion for the show, as it sparks your and my imagination. Another shot of the Xeno, but this time in full motion. Going by what Noah Hawley said in his Collider interview regarding practical effects, this would be a man in a suit running in a dog-like motion. The identity of the person inside this costume hasn't been made public yet, but now that we know these scenes with the Xeno will be very extensive, they probably deserve some credit down the line. It does feel more animalistic in movement than appearance, something more akin to the runner's abilities in Alien 3. But also notice that its dorsal tubes on its back have been reduced in length from what is considered normal. This is probably to enable the actor to move more freely, I would imagine. But I must say, it's one of those iconic anatomical parts of the original design that significantly helped to give the beast its overwhelmingly otherworldly and biomechanical presence. So it's a shame to see it reduced.
We have combined this story of humanity facing this existential threat, both from biological monsters and from synthetic artificial intelligence.
It's all very profound. Does humanity deserve to survive in the face of the emergence of AI and the introduction of extreme organisms with unmatched perfection in the realm of survival? However, I do wonder if this is what every Alien fan wants from another dip into this universe. I think that for the majority, including myself, hopefully, the investment in this existential quandary will pay off, as it all seems well thought out and beautifully crafted from what I'm seeing thus far. And as he says, what humanity does do and how we behave against such odds will no doubt be a highlight of the series. I just pray that one doesn't detract from the other, and the three themes of humanity, AI, and aliens coexist in this show to provide a much-needed, no scrub that, a sorely needed revival of a franchise that was once so pure. I digress.
Brother, come on. Can't leave us like this.
I'm not your brother.
Well, these are the two men we saw tied up earlier, and while one of the soldiers confuses a child inside a synthetic for being another brother, we're still left in the dark. But clearly humans will be at odds during this show, and this scene may be a strong indicator of that. I had to linger on this shot for just a moment because have you ever seen so much carnage in anything alien before? What could have torn this security force up so badly? Xenomorphs rarely demonstrate such unnecessary violence. They're extremely aggressive, of course, but methodical and precise. This display of gore looks more like something out of a Hellraiser movie. If this is the work of that little critter we saw crawling down the man's face, then I'm out. That's too much to handle. But jokes aside, this is further evidence that they are not holding back in any way in Alien Earth, and I love it. And by the way, if you haven't seen Essie Davis in the horror film The Babadook, then I highly recommend it. You'll learn why I'm very excited that she is a part of Alien Earth. She's a great actress. Here we have more mystery surrounding this man yet again. His robotic arm is weaponized, and he is at the very least cybernetically enhanced, as evidenced by the chip attached beneath his right ear. His stillness is also slightly unnerving while standing right next to the Xenomorph, who appears not too interested in him, it would seem. They're not really giving anything away, are they? I have to laugh though, and not to make fun of a show I haven't seen yet, but the Xeno seems to be in a perpetual state of grinning. I can understand some of the comments from people describing it as a bit off-looking. In any case, I'm optimistic, and hopefully these minor grievances will be less noticeable in the final product. Remember, it's easy to get caught up in these things now, especially when all we have are quick out-of-context shots, in a very mix-and-match piece of promotional material. Finally, we now have the picture. It was the small insect creature that seemed to have gotten to the soldiers while they were restrained. And I'm almost positive that the body part of this organism most likely acts as an embryo sac designed to infect a victim once injected into the skin of the host, as seen here. Whatever that large biomass was on the front of him must have been the result of whatever parasite or embryonic formula it inserted into his body. If I'm correct, then the facehugger isn't the only parasitic implantation organism in town. If true, this is an incredibly exciting thought for an Alien fan, as what will emerge from the soldier's body when the cycle is complete. I'm also eager for some altercations between these hostile species. Surely if they are that hostile, then attacking one another would not be too far-fetched, and I wouldn't mind having the Xenomorph's prowess tested a few times by some of these other deadly organisms. Please, that would be thrilling to see. No doubt, with Alien Earth's track record so far, we will have about 10 more trailers before August the 12th. But in any case, I feel like what Andor did for Star Wars, Alien Earth could easily do the same for the Alien franchise. Despite the slight deviation in appearance of the Xenomorph, it doesn't bother me too much, and I'm firmly locked in for this show. As always, please let me know your thoughts and take care of yourselves. Dude, signing off.